What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. And well, I didn't think it would happen to me, but it has. I fell victim to the infamous 3rd gen 4Runner lower ball joint failure. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid this, and we're going to go through the entire repair process on getting this truck back on the road. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, little backstory, I've had this truck coming up on almost 2 years now, and when I first got the truck, I replaced both front lower ball joints with aftermarket units. Recently, as I've learned more and been reading on Toyota 4Runner forums, I decided to go ahead and buy OEM lower ball joints, and I went ahead and replaced the passenger side. Another reason I decided to go ahead and start replacing with OEM lower ball joints is I had noticed squeaking coming from these lower ball joints, a pretty loud squeaking when you turn the wheel back and forth at low speeds. And while I fully intended to go ahead and replace this left side with an OEM Toyota lower ball joint, clearly I did not get to it in time. So now what we're going to be doing is replacing the lower ball joint with an OEM unit. We're going to be replacing the upper ball joint since that was damaged in this failure. So I have SPC upper control arms, so I'm going to be ordering replacement SPC upper ball joints. I've got a CV axle on the way, a pair of CV axles actually. I'm going to be using the upgraded track motive higher articulation axles. They're supposed to be stronger and higher articulation, so that'll be cool to check out. The speed sensor ABS wire that runs along the knuckle here got ripped in the failure, so we need to either replace that or rewire it. And then I'm going to go ahead and replace the brake line for good measure. Also plan on doing a couple of tweaks up here with the front suspension that I've been meaning to do now that I'm going to need an alignment anyways. So we're going to cover all that and the alignment process at the shop once we get to that point. But for right now, what I'm going to do is start disassembling some of this carnage. Alright, it's time to do some of the press work on these spindles. I got one of them finished last night, and tonight I'm going to film this one. So what we need to do is basically press out the hub, so that way we can press out the old wheel bearing. And there's also a couple of seals that we're going to pull off of there. So we're going to go ahead and get this set up. It took me a while to get it figured out how to actually get it set up, and actually had to buy some more tools for the press, but now we're in business, so we're gonna set this one up and get going. Alright, so right here is one of the seals that needs to come off. So I had pretty good luck with prying this off with a screwdriver and a hammer. So I'm gonna get that off, and then we're gonna press this hub out. Pressing the hub out is definitely the hardest part of this. It requires a lot of force. But once you get the hub broken free, the bearing itself actually presses out pretty easily. Alright, we got it. Alright, there's our hub. Came out clean. Beautiful. So we can just set this to the side. Alright, now a couple items on the spindle here we want to take out and set to the side that we're going to reuse. We got the bearing spacer here and this ABS ring. Now all that's left is to press out this wheel bearing. There's another seal on this side right here. And then underneath this seal, it's going to reveal a snap ring. We're going to pull that snap ring and then we can press this bearing out. Alright, now we can see that snap ring right here. Go ahead and pull that out. Alright, not too bad. Now both of these spindles are fully stripped down and these things are ready to get cleaned up now and get the Total Chaos spindle gussets welded on. So that's the next thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna clean these up. Alright, while I've got all this stuff apart, the truck has a lot of front rake, so I'm going to move the spring perch notch on the Bilsteins up from the very bottom. I'm going to move it up just one notch and see if I can kind of lift the front up a little bit more. Hardest part of doing this is just getting these arms set up to where the strut isn't all wonky and crooked and sideways. And you want to make sure all these arms are contacting very solidly on the spring, and then you'll be good to go. Alright, as you can see, got everything back together. I've been driving the truck for about 2 weeks now, and everything is good. Alignment's good. Super stoked to have this thing back on the road. So all in all, Total Chaos spindle gussets, new SPC upper ball joints both sides, new OEM lower ball joints both sides with new OEM bolts, new OEM wheel bearings and seals on both sides, and new CV axles on both sides. Adjustments I made while I was in there: adjusted the lower control arms for maximum caster, moved that front wheel as far forward as I possibly could, and now we are no longer rubbing on the rear of the fender. So that's awesome. Improved drivability there. I also, as you saw, I raised up the spring perch on the Bilsteins 1 notch. They were all the way at the bottom. I moved them up just 1 notch, and now I think this thing's sitting perfect. Just raised that front end up just a little bit to even it out. So loving the way this thing looks and rides right now. So that's gonna do it for today's video. I want to do a walk around of this thing, showing everything I've done to it now that it's back together. So look for that in another video. Also going to be working on the Miata later today, so that'll be coming out probably next week. So look for both of those videos coming soon. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome week, and we will see you in the next one.